Alright, welcome back. So in this video we're going to set up our project for CrewAI. So we're going to build a crew and go from there. So I do have in the description box below, as well as pinned comment on the blog post, where I kind of go into detail, a little bit of detail, of how to set up your system to start working with CrewAI as well as UV. Now, if you want more detailed information, you run into problems, definitely consult documentation for both of these. So for both CrewAI as well as UV, because I can only cover so much in one video. So the first thing you want to do is just go ahead and go into wherever you want to save your project. In my case, I want to go into my documents because that's where I save everything. Alright, now make sure that you have UV. So it's UV. I already have it, and I also installed it using Homebrew. So if you have Homebrew, really it's super simple. You just do brew, install UV, hit enter, and it will install it for you. I already installed it, so I don't need to do that. So really the next thing to do after you've done that is to actually install CrewUI. So once you have UV installed, you would run UV tool install CrewAI, hit enter, and it will install it. But I already have done that, so I can actually just see, and then after you've downloaded, you can see if you have the tool. You should just run UV tool. Oopsie. So I have UV. So now it's asking me, okay, what are you talking about? So this is how I know that I have UV, and I forgot part of it. So you do UV tool list to see the list of tools you have, and I have already installed CrewAI, and I've also upgraded it as well. And to make sure that if you already have CrewAI, run this crew tool install CrewAI upgrade to upgrade your system. If you don't, if your CrewAI is old, which mine was prior to actually starting this. All right, so the next thing we need to do is we need to create the project. So we do CrewAI, create crew, and then you name your project. In my case, I'm gonna do AI social brew crew, because my crew is going to be brewing up the socials. And hit enter. So now we need to select a provider to set up. In this case, I'm going to choose OpenAI, so option 1. And here you can enter in the model you want to choose. I'm going to choose 6 for right now, and you can always change this. And it says to enter your OpenAI key. You can do this, but I'm just going to skip it for right now. All right, so now we have a new crew. Let's check out our, I'm going to open up a file, open up our folder. All right, so I've opened up my folder. Let's go ahead and remove that, and let's take a look at what it has created for us. So we can just open all of these. Got tools, config. So we have our agents. So it's created some scaffolding content for us, which is awesome. And then the tasks for our agents. And then a scaffold for our tools, so you can kind of see where to put our tools. Our crew, And then main. Okay, it's great. And user preference, text. So this is the knowledge file, which is great. So already it's given us a spot to place our knowledge files, which is what I will definitely be using. And then a test file. We have an environment file. Now your environment file, this is where you will save your API key. And I'll show you how to do that. And our getignore file. Now this file is important because there's going to be files and folders in here that we want to make sure we do not track. One of them especially is environment. That's where your API key is going to be. And if you deploy this to a repository, say GitHub or GitLab, you do not, absolutely not share your environment file, okay? Because that's where if somebody gets a hold of your API key for, say, ChatGPT or Claude, they can use it and charge you. You have to pay for those charges, so please do not do that, okay? Our PyCache file, definitely don't need that, and the DS score. Then we have our TOML file. Now this is where UV tracks everything that you need for your project, so you don't have to, which is pretty awesome. And it tells kind of the build system, the tools that you're using, your scripts, your project name. Now here, let's go ahead and enter our name, and then your email, whatever your email is, and it tracks your dependencies here, so that again you don't have any issues with having to track that. Okay, I'm going to save that. So there we go, we've saved that. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at our project so far. So let's do a list all, and we see that UV has added our getignore, which is great. But we don't have our git, so we need to go ahead and do that. All right, so since we don't have a git, we have the getignore, which is great. So we need to initialize git. So let's do git init. Okay, and then let's do list again. And there we go. Now we have git, right? So at this point, what I want to do is go ahead and create an initial commit, because I don't want to kind of mess this up. But first, let's go ahead and run and see if our crew actually works. So before we run our crew, we want to make sure that it is installed. So we do CrewAI install. And now we have a new file up here, which is our environment file. Let's look at the library. It's pretty large. All right, so remember, the thing about libraries is we do not want to, the only way we can start running this is if we go and actually activate our virtual environment. Right, so let's go ahead and activate our virtual environment. All right, and so it's activated. So all I ran, if you hadn't seen it, because it was far down below, is source.vn bin activate. And that's how you activate it. And how you know that you've activated is if you see this pop up in parentheses, this is your virtual environment. Okay, and then let's go ahead and run CrewAI just to see if it works. All right, so crew execution completed, and now we have this output. All right, so the next thing we need to do is we need to initialize our project. So again, we do list all, so we can see our project. We now have this Git file here that we initialized earlier. And now what we need to do is go ahead and initialize, make our first commit, because we know now that we have the very basic setup. We know our crew works, and so we want to save this state in case we muck it up. Okay, so you do git add period. So I'm going to clear this so it brings it up to the top. So we do git add period, which is kind of get all, and we do git status again to see what is going to be added. So I always check this to make sure that I am not adding anything weird to my Git, like if there's any directories or files that shouldn't be in here. I always check to make sure before I commit it. All right, because you can reverse it. If you can use git remove cache and then whatever the file or the directory is, you can always unstage these files as you need to. All right, so I like everything in here. I think everything's fine. So we're gonna do clear again to go back up. So we do git commit -m and then your message. And this is just the initial one, initial commit. And now if it's added everything to the Git, so we'll go ahead and clear it again. And this time you can check the log. So git log, it will list everything that you've committed. In this case, it shows my initial commit and the time. So I know that I've committed everything I wanted to and that it's saved properly. All right. If you found this very helpful, please go ahead and hit subscribe. Again, I'll have the how-to post on how to set this up and the references I used in order to do so. And if you found this helpful, please hit subscribe. All right, till next time, friends.